I am broadcasting from my living room in Olney, MD. Eric Bickle broadcasting, I believe, from his basement in Kensington, Maryland.
That's right, buddy.
John Paul Flame not broadcasting, on vacation this week. Jason Bishop en route to the studio. He should join us in progress at some point. TBD.
I guarantee you he's pissed off and he's not racing. He's taking his time. And, God only knows how easy or difficult it was for him to get out of his neighborhood. Guessing his street probably wasn't plowed. I'm sure once he got to the main roads, he'd be fine. But then, once you get into D.C., depending upon what he's coming off, does he take the GW Parkway briefly?
I don't think so. I'm not sure the exact route he takes, but I don't think he takes that Parkway.
No,
route.
he would take the toll road to 66.
66. All right, so those are major.
Yeah.
They should be okay. They should be okay.
By the way, Valdez, you and Ben, you've been basically prisoners at the Homewood. Odyssey was nice enough to pay for your rooms, which is great. But how full is the hotel? Is it like?
Oh, there's a
full,
there was a billion.
Full?
Oh, there was a billion people in there.
Oh, there were.
Oh yeah, when I was checking in on Saturday night, the place was full. You hear doors slamming all the time.
Right.
I was definitely better. There's definitely a baby crying on Saturday night, right next door.
Are people making a ruckus like at 1 a.m? Because I've definitely been in hotels where all you want to do is just get 5 or 6 hours of sleep.
No, the worst part is so when the snow was coming Saturday night overnight, you could hear the streets being plowed. Like right outside of the door,
right,
and it was waking me up every 10 minutes when a plow truck would drive by. It was loud and miserable.
Right.
Well, I mean, you're right there on the corner. Of,
you're on Main
Street
drag.
or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you sirens, a billion sirens all the time. Plow trucks going by. Like, there was no sleep to be had.
Do they have because I'm not like Jason. I don't go in the Homewood every day and pick up treats and everything. Do they have like a nice bar area for people to hang out?
I mean, the second floor they have like their breakfast and everything, but there's no like hotel bar.
There is no hotel bar.
See, that's a problem. Like if you are snowbound, you need a hotel with the fully stocked bar.
That place
come
would
in
be
handy.
jammed. They'd be raking in the dough if they had
Valdez,
one.
maybe you can update me. I think this place is out of business right across the street. The Big Stick
it's gone.
That's gone.
The Big Rick, no longer there.
Yeah.
Is that just an empty spot now?
I think so.
I think so. I think it's just it's a retail space for sale.
It's becoming a sushi place, I think, or a ramen place. One of those two.
Ooh, those both capture my attention.
All right, Cakes, you want me to tell you what's going on with the Commanders?
Yeah, let's hit the Skins. Prime Skins hitting time, 7:05-ish.
Yeah. Of course, you can always chime in if you want. You can help us out throughout the show, 800-636-1067. You can give us a road update. You want to chime in on the football games, the Skins coaching search. And again, kind of a busy day yesterday, Cakes, in terms of coaches. Arizona Cardinals former head coach Jonathan Gannon was hired by the Green Bay Packers to replace Jeff Hafley as defensive coordinator. Of course, Hafley was hired by the Dolphins, correct?
That's correct, yep.
In the NFC East, John Harbaugh made a move. He chose Dennard Wilson as his new defensive coordinator. Of course, Dennard is a DeMatha grad, Maryland grad, and was interviewed here also for the defensive coordinator position here. Both he and Gannon were interviewed here.
I was on with Grant and Danny during the Blitz, like I want to say a week ago, maybe 7 or 8 days ago, and they were like, "Are you concerned that they haven't hired a defensive coordinator yet?" And I was like, "No, they're doing their due diligence. They're interviewing a bunch of people. I'm fine with it." Now I'm starting to get a little concerned.
Well, they've also interviewed Vikings defensive passing game coordinator Durante Jones, which I believe, if this is accurate, has now put them at 9 known interviewees. Okay? 3 of those guys are off the market. And then Brian Flores also interviewed, but he has decided if he doesn't get a head coaching gig, that he's just going to stay in Minnesota. So
Right.
who does that leave? It seems like possibly, Raheem Morris's name is still out there, although he is likely to get multiple offers. Apparently, he's also weighing whether or not to just jump in the media for a year or two, take kind of a break there.
I saw
test
that he's on the
waters
list
there.
for the Arizona Cardinals head coaching list. It was a bad list. I can't recall the other 2 or 3 names, but it was like Raheem Morris and 2 or 3 other names you barely heard of. Like
Right.
the Cardinals are scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Right. Well, I mean, Washington kind of is too.
It
It's
seems that
something
way.
that we've talked about. I don't think this is a great job on paper. You're kind of in a must-win situation. It could be a one-and-done deal, and you've got no talent. You're bereft of talent. Now,
Right,
obviously, I can already hear Jason pounding his steering wheel in the car. We don't know who they're going to have yet. Of course, they're going to sign some guys in free agency. They're going to draft some guys on the defensive side of the ball. But currently, right now, they basically have nothing.
And what
on
sort of
defense.
attractive candidate is going to be here if they're worried about Dan Quinn getting blown out in 1 year, which is
Right.
entirely possible. Like if things go sideways in back-to-back seasons, he's definitely on the hot seat and or getting fired. So anybody who's has any sort of worth or is attractive, they're not going to sign up for that sort of scenario.
Think about the 180 the coaching staff just did.
Right.
So everyone was praising how, oh my God, Brian Johnson's on this staff, Anthony Lynn's on this staff, Cliff's on this staff. Look at they have all of this experience, and then you could be going into this season, make or break season, with someone who's green calling defensive plays and green calling offensive plays. I mean, the 180 is drastic.
Yeah. But
It's not very reassuring.
The good news, if there is such a thing, is they do have DQ who could obviously handle it if he wanted to. I know he doesn't want to. And he could also obviously oversee if they have somebody who's a little green in terms of calling plays. And he could take over at any point if he needed to. But I think the bigger issue is the talent, the lack of talent on that side of the ball. But it will be interesting to see who they end up with.
I actually feel kind of bad for Anthony Lynn because I saw that he is getting sniffs as the Cleveland Browns' potential next head coach.
Yes.
I just would not want to be the head coach of the Browns. I just feel like, aside from the money that you're going to make, it just seems like a complete coach's graveyard. But you can't, like, if you're Anthony Lynn or whoever else gets the gig, you can't turn it down.
It's hard to turn it down.
They're running out of options. They're clearly, scraping to try to find somebody. People are pulling out of interviews for Cleveland left or right. I understand why he's interviewing, but I would feel bad for him if he's the next Cleveland Browns head coach.
Apparently, they've also interviewed Mike Tomlin's defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin Cakes. So it's very difficult to keep track of. Supposedly, Al Harris is potentially going to get an interview. We've talked about him a little bit. A couple years ago, Dallas blocked Quinn's attempt to get Harris. They got Joe Witt Jr. instead. Does that mean those guys share the same mind? Probably not, but they probably have some similar philosophies.
Yeah, maybe Quinn is just like, you know what? I went to my Dallas. Well, I dipped into that. It didn't work out the first time. Maybe he's just a little bit reluctant to do it a second time with Harris.
So that leaves, I think, Joe Cullen, right? I believe. I know they interviewed him. I believe he's still available potentially. Flores and Gannon out. Patrick Graham, the Raiders defensive coordinator, Al Harris, who we mentioned, Carl Scott, the Seahawks DB's coach, who is well thought of, but he hasn't called plays before. Dennard Wilson's he's out. He's been hired. So, yeah, it's kind of a murky situation for Washington there on the defensive side of the ball.
And with Scott in Seattle, now with them being, caught up for another 2 weeks heading into the Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to interview in the interim. I could be wrong. Maybe they can do a Zoom interview. But that would just prolong the hire if that's the person that you're targeting. So, yeah, this is a much more long and drawn-out process than I thought it would be. I thought they would have already hired a defensive coordinator like 10 days ago.
I thought by
Hey, boys.
Friday-
What's up, boys?
Oh, Jason Bishop makes it into the studio.
made it.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Look at this guy.
What's up,
You don't know how to
boys?
turn the
Battling
power
through the
on?
elements.
What's going on?
Don't start with me. That thing will not, that piece of crap box would not turn on. I tried it for about 45 minutes.
Did it have a battery? It had a battery attached to it?
I don't know. It was all plugged in. It was working fine this morning. I got up at 4:30. I started it up, and it was working.
And then what happened?
It just started to glitch, and then it just turned off. Just completely powered off, and I couldn't turn it back on. I unplugged it. I unplugged everything, plugged it back in.
You might have a bad wire or something.
It sucks.
Now, in Jason's defense, I know these are expensive units, but it looks like old, outdated
That
technology.
thing is worth about
right?
$10.
I mean, Valdez, can you give us any sort of update on like
Some of them are newer.
Okay.
Others are older. I think yours, Cakes, is an older version.
Okay.
I think we gave Jason like the newest one that we had. Since he is a technophobe.
Right.
Well, it wouldn't turn on, man. I have it on video. You could see me pressing the power button. Power.
Jason,
Yeah.
what were the roads like? Most important. I got to imagine the road you live on, because my road, not plowed. I got to imagine the road you live on, not plowed.
I would not have gotten out of my neighborhood if I didn't have four-wheel drive.
Okay. But
Yeah.
but four-wheel, it was fine?
It wasn't plowed, no.
Yeah. But four-wheel was fine. And then once you got out of your street, how many more streets before that you started to hit some plowed streets?
I mean, the Greenway was a
That's
little
plowed.
It was plowed, but it was a little dicey. They were still plowing it as I was driving out. Once I got to the toll road, it was fine. And then once I got down here to D.C., some of the back roads were bad. But, I mean, the toll road was fine. 66 was fine.
Of course.
Getting out of my neighborhood was not easy.
Yeah.
But
Well, you made it in. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm certain I could have made it in, but I figured since we had the equipment, I'd do it. But
no one
how
should
long-
be on the roads unless you absolutely have to be on the roads.
I mean, it started snowing when Saturday night, like around 8:00. Is that or 10:00 or
later
something
than
like that?
At least here it was later. It was like
Midnight.
I don't.
11,
I was
midnight,
Yeah, I
something
was
like
going to
that.
say probably later than that.
All right, so it's been I don't know 30 some hours, and to still have not have plowed my street is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean,
I was kind of stunned by it.
The problem is it's so cold that nothing is melting, and it's not going to melt all week. I mean, I shoveled my driveway and my walkway and my steps, for about an hour yesterday, and then it started to sleet, and all the sleet on top of the snow, it just increased it again, and then it was like walking on cement.
It made it heavier. It made it a nightmare.
It was awful, and so I left my house this morning, and walking down my street, it's like walking on cement, but it's probably 4 or 5 inches of snow/sleet.
Right.
So I don't know what they're going to do on my street, because I told my daughter and my wife, I said, do not leave the house. You're not going to get off our street. Just wait till I get home.
Mm-hmm. How many of your vehicles have four-wheel drive?
Just the one I have for today, the truck. None of them.
Yeah.
So yes, they wouldn't get off our street.
Yeah. Well, props to the guys that are out there that are pushing those plows and grinding 12, 18-hour days. We know they got to do the main roads first, but eventually they'll get to us.
Yep.
But can you imagine being we talked about it in the first segment, Valdez and Ben and those guys just been stranded in a hotel for 36 hours
I
straight.
know.
They came in on Saturday, right? You guys came in on Saturday?
The storm.
It wouldn't have been bad if it was just one night, but having it, they basically
all day.
having your entire weekend at the being stranded sucks.
Yeah. Did you guys? Was there anywhere to go on Saturday night/Sunday night?
Sunday, I went and grabbed food just because I had to, I wanted to get out of the hotel room.
I had to get out.
Yeah.
I was going stir crazy.
Yeah.
Of course.
Where did you go?
Just a spot over here.
Oh, okay.
And then I think Ben went to a barbecue spot.
Uh huh.
If you were open, you were slammed.
Oh yeah, you're making all
people
the dollars.
people wanted to get out of their condos or apartments here.
Did you see all the locals walking their dogs and all that?
Yep.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, your
A lot
dogs
of
still
that,
need
right?
they still need to go pee and poo.
Yeah.
Unless you
Right.
want them doing it in the house. They got to go
Everybody
out.
walking their poodles.
They got to get out, man.
Yeah.
We had to take ours out, and she was not happy.
Did you guys watch? I know, I'm sure Cakes didn't. Jason, did you keep an eye on the American Express at all and watch Scotty?
You're right. I did not.
I mean, I watched a little bit of it. I watched more of it on Saturday than I did Sunday just because
Right.
I was watching the games. But
Right, I had it on my computer, so I was watching both.
Scotty's just a freak of nature. I mean,
He's unbelievable. The kid Blades Brown had an unbelievable week.
That was fun to
He
watch,
was super
too.
fun to watch.
Yep.
Scotty now, I believe, has won his 20th. He and Tiger and Jack are the only guys to have won 20, and I'm not sure how many majors, maybe 4 majors by the age of 30.
Yeah, he's
3 guys in the history of the world that have done that.
He's a freak, and he won 7 times last year, and he wins his first event this year. It's probably going to be one of those years where he wins, 7 to 10 events, including
I believe
a major
it's the
or two.
first time he's ever won his first event. Like, usually it takes him a little while to get going.
Right, out of the gates hot.
So watch out.
All right, speaking of
Watch
you
out.
guys doing the something for the first time, when we come back, we're going to talk about Alex Honnold, who scaled Taipei Tower over the weekend live on Netflix. We'll give our thoughts on that and the commentary, especially during the climb and more. We will get into Skyscraper on Netflix next. This is Junk Snow Day on a Monday here on 106.7 The Fan.